About Tanya that we were talking last time how a person has deep love for Hashem inside of himself, and that's why we're able to have even a very simple Jew is willing to give up his life for Hashem and to die as a Jew. But so then why do we do Averot? Because the Gemara Masechet Sotah says a ruach shtut, a spirit of foolishness, goes and enters inside of us and convinces us to do nonsense. And he says, "Afilu notim nafsha mimena lavod avodah zara chas shalom, afilu shtachaveh levada bli shum emunah belev klal." And even a woman who's willing to do adultery, chas shalom, at the same time she's willing to give up her life not to bow down to an idol. How do you explain that? Must be that to do adultery, she got a spirit of foolishness inside of her to do the sin. But deep down, she has a neshama, and automatically in that neshama, she has a love for Hashem, to willing to die for not to serve idols. So therefore, if a person wakes it up and a person utilizes that deep emunah inside of himself, he's able to go and serve Hashem and not to fall into the trap of the Yetzer Hara. So therefore, a person has to make sure not to let himself get confused by the ruach shtut, by the foolishness of the Yetzer Hara. And the distinction that she makes between bowing to an idol and doing adultery, if you're willing not to bow down to an idol and you're not willing to do that sin, you're saying, no, that's the line, you can't cross the line. How can I bow to an idol? I'd rather die than to bow to an idol. So how can she willing to do adultery? That's the ruach shtut. That's the power of the foolishness of the spirit of foolishness that the Yetzer Hara gives you. The Yetzer Hara knows how to feed you half truths, to feed you lies. That's like we said many times before. The Midrash Kohelet says that Yetzer Hara looks like a highwayman, like a robber with a sword. He looks scary, and therefore you want to do what he says. But then afterwards, you get closer to him, and you look at him. The Midrash says you'll see that he's just a cutout. You'll see that he's not real. You see that he's just a paper made out of paper, out of cardboard. He's not real. So a lot of times the Yetzer Hara tricks you into making you think it's okay, or you'll be fine if you do the sin, even though at the end of the day it doesn't make sense. If you're not willing to bow to an idol, why would you be willing to do adultery? That's the nonsense of the Yetzer Hara. And therefore he says that's why any sin, whether d'oraita, d'Rabbanan, from the Torah, from the rabbis, it disconnects you from Hashem and gives you this spirit of foolishness. So therefore what? And the ruach shtut goes inside of the divine soul's influence up to chokhmah. There's sfirot of the neshama, and the chokhmah gets affected by the ruach shtut. Where's the ruach shtut? The spirit of foolishness enters your chokhmah, your wisdom. You start thinking the wrong way if you allow the ruach shtut inside of you. So how do you fix this ruach shtut? If the chokhmah is affected, how do you fix the chokhmah, the wisdom? You gotta learn Torah. Learning Torah will make you see everything straight again. What does the Gemara say? When the Yetzer Hara is bothering you, where should you take him? Schlep him to Beit Midrash. Take him to the Beit Midrash and learn Torah. And that way you'll save yourself. When you sit at home and you're on your phone, of course it's very easy to do what the Yetzer Hara says. Waste time watching about how the whales talk in the ocean, wasting time watching these videos about these people dancing on the phone, and wasting time watching about on the Netflix about how the monkeys they use monkeys in the prisons in Thailand. I don't know, all these random documentaries and things people watch on their phone and on their screens. And what? Of course, how are you going to pass this test? How are you not going to fall into the trap of the Yetzer Hara? Your mind, as the Rambam says, who do you find the person who's doing immorality? The person who's empty of wisdom, says the Rambam. If you have a cup, if you're not filling it with water, what are you going to fill it up with? Coke. You're going to fill it up with something not healthy. But if your cup is full with water, with Torah, there's no room for nonsense inside. So therefore, the big problem is not, oh, Rabbi, at home I messed up and I wasted my time and I did this and did that sin. That's the problem. Why were you sitting home doing nothing? Why didn't you go learn? Why didn't you use your time for a mitzvah? Rabbi, I come home 5 o'clock, I have nothing to do. So find what to do. Find time to volunteer in a chesed organization. Find time to learn Torah. Make time to do something productive. Spend time with your kids. A lot of people love to spend their time on their phone, sit around, just go to parties, come home, rinse, wash, and repeat every single night. Do the same thing. And you have to break that cycle if you want to go and have a clean thought. If you're going to have ruach shtut, if you're going to have spirit of foolishness, is when you have no Torah learning. And he says, or Hashem because the delusional spirit makes your chokhmah affected, and you lose the divine light. You become delirious. You become lost from reality. It says in Mishnah, kinat hava, and the kinat hava and kavod motziin adam olam. Right, the chase, the jealousy, and desires, and the honor, chasing honor, removes a person from this world. You remove yourself from reality. You're not in reality when you're chasing these things. If you allow yourself to get the klipa, the desire, yitzhara, for these three things, so now you become delusional. A guy has a lot of good things in his life. He's parnasah, he has a car, he has family. No, but I'm not president of the minyan, so I'm not happy. You're happy with you have everything you need. No. I have nothing. I'm not happy. So he's out of reality. He doesn't see reality for what it is. He doesn't see how much good he has. And then you have another guy. I have this car, but I don't have that car. I have this watch, I don't have that watch. I have this, but I don't have that house yet. Therefore, I'm not good enough yet. I'm upset with what I have. I'm not happy with my life. Chas Shalom. You lose yourself. You lose reality. You start thinking in a weird way, and you say, "Why that guy get so upset? Who is he to talk to me like that? Who? I'm going to put him in his place." What? Any normal person would be okay, would handle this stress from this conversation. And you flip out. Why do you flip out? Because you remove yourself from reality for this ta'ava, for kavod, and for kina. ובאמת לאמיתו, אפילו אווירה קלה אחרי האורה העובר על רצון העליון ברוך הוא. In reality, the person has to know even a small sin makes you lose your chokhmah and get affected because of the ruach shtut. יותר הוא בתכלית פירוד מייחודו ואחדותו יתברך, יותר מסתרה אחרי הקליפה. And thereby, you're detaching yourself from Hashem's reality, and you're worse than the sitra achra and the klipa. Nikrat Elokim avcherim avodah zara mamash, which the sitra achra also gets nourishment from Hashem, but at least they're connected to Hashem. A person who does a sin, he's doing it totally against Hashem's will. The sitra achra klipa is doing Hashem's will. Hashem said, be the other side, be the evil. Malach hamavet, yesara, go do your job. Go and make people do sins. But what? But you went and did exactly what Hashem told you not to do. And therefore this is lower than all the things in the world. Even you're lower than even non-kosher animals, non-kosher birds, insects, reptiles. You're even worse than them. Why? They're doing Hashem's will at the end of the day. Their job is to be that animal. And you're not even doing what Hashem told you to do. As it says, Hashem said to Adam, I created a mosquito before you to show you that what? If you sin, you will be even worse than a mosquito. Mosquito, you would think, he doesn't do anything in the world. He only eats, he only sucks, and doesn't give anybody anything. You would think he's the lowest of the low. And still, at least he's doing Hashem's will. But you're doing against Hashem's will. That says Chazal, Hashem did that to remind the person, Gemara Sechet Sanhedrin, to remind the person when you do sins, even worse than a mosquito. Perush, the mosquito represents the most selfish creature because it sucks, it doesn't give anything back, it only takes, doesn't give. And still, when a person sins, he is worse than the yitush, than the mosquito. And how much more so you're lower than all the other animals, right? Even though they did not see it, even though the animals are not aware of doing Hashem's will and not doing Hashem's will, only a man has ability to understand these things. Still, sages teach us, right? The fear of all will fall on the wild animals on the earth. Then when you do the will of Hashem, the Gemara says the animals cannot hurt you. But when you don't do the will of Hashem, that's when the animals can hurt you. So you see that at the end of the day, it all depends on what a person does. If he's higher than the animals or lower than the animals. When you're lower than the animals, you don't do the will of Hashem, they have koach over you. That's why they're able to attack you. Tzadikim, but the tzadikim, the tzaddikim who never let their divine presence leave from them, the divine image, so all animals are subservient to you. Why? Because you have the divine presence inside of you. Like Daniel, right? Daniel didn't eat non-kosher while he was in Nebuchadnezzar's house. So that zechut made it that when he was in the lion's den, the lions didn't want to eat him. And the second they threw the guy who said Lashon Hara inside the lion's den, they ate him up. Why? Because the zechut of Hashem's presence around you, when you do mitzvot, the animals, they feel it. And the animals put their head down. They're not allowed to attack you. But when you don't have Hashem's presence around you, so because you don't do Hashem's will, the animals say, we do Hashem's will. There's Perek Shirah. There's a lot of Tehillim that all the animals sing every single day to Hashem. We seek to Hashem. We know Hashem. We have to serve Him. And we do what we're supposed to do in this world. You're not doing what you're supposed to do? So now we have power over you. Now we can hurt you. But a person who does will the will of Hashem, the animals cannot hurt you. In Ken, as a famous story with the Rabbi Chanina Mendoza, there was a snake that was killing everybody in the community. And Rabbi Chanina Mendoza came, he put his leg out, and the snake bit him, and the snake died. He brought the snake to the Beit Midrash. He said, you see, it's not the animal that kills. It's the sin that kills. So you see, I didn't have sin. That's why the animal couldn't kill me. Opposite. I killed him. So therefore, we should be zocheh to realize that we have to be careful not to do a sin, which represents us going against Hashem's will. You have to, even the Navi says, the Chamor Avus Ba'alav, the donkey, he knows his master, right? And the shor Yodeh Keneu, the shor, the ox, he knows who's his owner. They are loyal. They won't work for somebody else. How can we be lower than animals? How can we be worse than a donkey? Donkey knows his master. How can we not know our master? How can we not know our owner? Baruch Amen. Amen.